All right, let's get started today. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you can hear us okay and see the screen, as we will have a dual presentation today, partly PowerPoint, which will be on the screen, and also a live demonstration via our Clearview Analytics product. So hopefully you can see the screen. It will be complementing both of our guest speakers today, who I'll introduce very shortly. But first, I'd just like to thank you guys so much for taking the time today, as we are extremely excited to present to you the release of our new analytics platform, Clearview. Clearview is a software solution that gives local government leaders the ability to deeply understand the data behind their sales tax revenue. With this context, city and county leadership will be able to make more informed decisions about spending, budgeting, and policy. We'll begin the discussion today by providing further context around the challenges that local governments face when attempting to fully understand and track the shifts and trends of their revenue base. This will be followed by a two-part demonstration of Clearview's graphic displays and geographic overlays that will help explain the when and why around shifts in revenue. The presentation will be about 30 to 35 minutes. Followed by a very short 10 to 15 minute question and answer period, and then proceeded with a special offer that we'll have at the end for all of our attendees today. So having mentioned the question and answer, you can submit those via the chat feature here in WebEx, or you can also send an email directly to our email distribution, webinars@avenuinsights.com. So next, first, my name is Brennan Middleton, Marketing Manager here at Avenu Insights and Analytics, and I'll be your host and moderator. I'll also be facilitating many of the questions that you have today, and allowing Doug and Eric to answer those accordingly. Next, I'd like to introduce to you both of our presenters. First, Avenu Senior Vice President Doug Jensen. Doug brings over 27 years of experience in consulting local governments of all sizes enhance their revenue. He brings a wealth of knowledge in areas of tax policy, municipal finance, and economic development and consulting. Partnering with over 100 local governments in California, Doug and his team has helped recover millions of dollars in untapped revenue, lead numerous economic development projects, help influence governmental policy, and administer over $1 billion in tax revenue. Next, Avenu product owner Eric Myers. Graduate from the Brigham Young School of Law, Eric is responsible for Avenu's analytics and reporting. Eric brings over 15 years' experience assisting local governments understand and navigate the shifts of taxpayer revenue. Eric will also be providing our hands-on demonstration of Clearview today and fielding many of the questions that you have. So for our agenda, as we previously mentioned, we'll first dive into the various challenges that you as a local government leader face with respect to ever-changing shifts in revenue. And next, we'll formally introduce the key features of Clearview and outline the dynamic capabilities of the intuitive graphical reports and overlays. Next, we'll experience the two-part demonstration that I mentioned already, followed by the quick 10 to 15 minute question and answer. So very briefly, right before we begin, who is Avenu? Avenu provides revenue enhancement and administrative solutions to over 900 cities and counties nationwide. We focus specifically on helping find, recover, and manage your revenue base through the enhancement and collection of taxes and fees. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Doug Jensen.
Good day, everybody. As most of you know on this call, many of your local revenue sources are dynamic. They're constantly changing. But sales tax changes much more frequently due to the direct relationship to the economy, specific business and industry changes and trends, legislative changes. Everybody in California remembers the triple flip. New and or closed businesses coming in and out of your community, fuel prices, employment, and many other factors affect your sales tax revenue and make it incredibly dynamic. Sales tax revenues are a very significant portion of your general fund, often comprising 30 to 40%. It's often the city's or county's first or second largest revenue source. So having accurate and timely information at your fingertips is critical. But by showing the root cause of revenue changes, Clearview allows your local government to take a foundational understanding and move ahead with more informed decisions about budgeting and economic development. So I've been a sales tax consultant for over 27 years, and every quarter when you get your cleanup payment or you get your payment from the state comptroller, our phones and emails really start to buzz with our clients clamoring to know, why was I up or why was I down? You may want to know if the change is a result of real economic growth or real economic activity, or was the change due to some other reporting anomaly, a state audit, late payments, or other issues. Clearview has all of this included in the online access. Clearview also provides access to 100% of your sales tax economic base and tracks changes citywide and in geographical areas such as downtowns, shopping centers, auto malls, industrial zones, right on down to the business level, and how changes in those areas, both citywide and geographically, potentially have an impact on your general fund. And Clearview will also include your applicable transactions and use tax. So you'll have a drop-down menu to be able to look at your Bradley Burns, your local tax, as well as your district and transactions and use tax. So how is my city doing compared to other cities? Why am I up? Why am I down? Those are questions that are easily answered in this easy-to-use program. So sales tax data, you guys have seen it. It fills up a spreadsheet very quickly with lots of numbers, the large volume of taxpayers, constant changes among them. It makes it a real challenge to be able to report to your manager and your council the overall health and picture of your sales tax base. As I mentioned, time spent pouring through data and the need to communicate how your sales tax revenue is performing can be a challenge. Clearview is simple and easy to use, and it allows you to go beyond just a sheet of paper with numbers and really get into the analytics. The platform describes the circumstances affecting your sales tax revenue, graphically displays the geographical overlays, and of course the ability to export any of the reports directly into a real Excel file. So before we get to the demo, I just wanted to cover a few of the features. But first I wanted to talk about something going on in California. So everybody knows we've changed from the State Board of Equalization to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. I know a lot of you are still trying to figure out how to say CDTFA quickly. They changed their entire system. The taxpayer online filing portal crashed on the filing deadline, resulting in some missing payments from many of your taxpayers. In addition, CDTFA was not able to process the paper returns. So your May and June receipts from CDTFA are missing significant revenue. So Clearview's cash distribution summary reconciles the actual revenue that you're owed and compares them to the advances. It will help you really understand how much you're due. Other features allow your agency to track taxpayers who have very strong performance or very poor performance. This is an excellent economic development tool for business retention. Businesses that are growing rapidly will often outgrow their facility that's in your location that's generating significant sales tax. You want to be able to manage those. Along with the visualizations that we'll see here in a minute, and also the tracking of the sales tax economy. What are the trends? What are the drivers? Drilling down to the taxpayer level, searching for businesses, comparing taxpayers, and comparing your performance to similar jurisdictions are all encompassed in this new version. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to my dear colleague, Eric Myers, for part one of our demonstration.
Thanks, Doug. So welcome, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. I'm going to walk you through real briefly some of the key visual stories that we have. There we go. Just one moment. Sorry about that. In our Clearview, and I'm going to log into this sample city. I'm just going to walk through this as if I were a user, an analyst within this sample city. So we'll go ahead and log in, and that'll take us to our navigation page where you can find all of the key key performance indicators and information in the on the login here. Okay, interesting. My apologies for the slowness of my web connection here. Let's do it this way. We'll go ahead and try that again. All right, Clearview 2.0. So the landing page is pulling up right now. That landing page again will have the key performance indicators here on the front. And the first question that I'm going to have when I come and look at this in any event is, how do we do this quarter? Particularly compared to the same quarter in the prior year. We can see that right up front on this KPI. So for Sample City, I'm up 7.1% compared to the same quarter in the prior year. Great. Why did that happen? What might be driving that, right? So I click on that KPI and I come to our economic overview report. And I can see that we've been on a growth trend in this city for some time now, which is great news. And that a lot of what's influencing that 7.1% change is this uptick between fourth quarter and first quarter. And I'd like to understand maybe a little bit more what's driving that. Why is that happening? So I can simply scroll down the page here and take a look at the trends sort of disaggregated by the subcategories within your economy. So for example, here we can see that there's been some growth in 2017 Q4 and to 2018 Q1 in both retail trade, which is in the yellow, and in our manufacturing, which is in the purple. So I'm going to go ahead and just limit this chart to the last few quarters and also to those two categories, manufacturing and retail trade, so that I can focus a little bit more and confirm I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. Yes, I am. I'm seeing some slight growth in retail and a stronger uptick in manufacturing. Now I might want to know, well, what parts of those parts of my economy are driving that growth? So I can simply, again, scroll down the page and take a look at the subcategories within retail and manufacturing. Those are all displayed here. And I can see that the biggest driver is other miscellaneous manufacturing. It's really got the steepest slope here, along with clothing stores over that time period. Now I may want to know, okay, that's great. I've kind of localized it. What businesses are driving this? Again, scroll down and we can see the top 15 businesses in the segments that were selected here. I'm going to go ahead and select 2018 Q1, which is the period we were interested in. And on the left, what I'll see are the top 15 changes by dollar value. And on the right, what I'll see are the top 15 changes by percentage. And as we can see here, this sample business, Acme 02412, is top in both cases. I'm going to go ahead and click on Acme and take a look. Okay, this is its address. What kind of business is it? How much revenue did it pay? Did it result in for the city in first quarter of 2018? Excuse me. And I can look at the volatility of its revenue, of its growth rate here. So we see a clear uptick in these last few quarters, this dotted line being 0% change. So it really shot up, and as a matter of fact, we can see it here on the right as well, that we've got a significant growth change just in this particular quarter for this particular taxpayer. If we want to see all of the taxpayers in those particular areas, those segments, we can go ahead and click detail. We can get all of the taxpayers, and once again, we can click on any given taxpayer's name and get the information, a little glimpse into whether a particular payment is part of a trend. Now, having looked at what's causing the growth that I'm seeing in this quarter, I may also want to look at, well, all right, what's happening compared to my neighbors? Am I, beating the trend? Am I falling behind trend? What's happening more broadly? And in this particular case, my sample city is about 21% below the state average for this quarter. I'd like to know if that's part of a broader trend or whether it is, whether I've always been one of the smaller contributors and been below the state average here. So we'll go ahead and pull that up here in what we call our key cash comparisons. And you can see it's auto-populated with my city. I'm sample city. And I'm going to go ahead and look at here with this little button called City Comps. I have the opportunity to get some recommendations on what similar cities may look like. Now, it so happens that in our sample state, we have only two cities. They are Sample City and Sample City East. And so I'm going to compare myself to Sample City East. I'll just type in sample, hit return. I'll get Sample City East as a pop-up. I can select that. And now I've got some Sample City East. Now, I'm going to go ahead and focus in on the last few quarters once again and take a look at that. And sure enough, I am the lower of the two cities. And the average for the state's about 1 million. And so, yeah, that's always been the case that I've been a little bit below Sample City East. However, we've seen some changes in the last quarter or two where Sample City East really took off. And I can kind of reflect that as well in the volatility down here. The great news is that if Sample City and I, for example, were really spread apart in terms of actual dollars, we're on the same scale when we come down here and look at volatility. All right, so I'm about where I expect to be in terms of the statewide economy. How am I doing compared to budget? Well, I'm 1.3% above budget, so pretty good, almost right on with my budget. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that in a little bit more detail and see if that's part of a trend or if that happens to be just one blip, an anomaly. It turns out that, yeah, for the last several quarters, I have been doing better than budgeted, actually for about 1.5 years or so. Right here, I'm at my 1.3%. I am intrigued when I look at this at 2018 Q1. I was well above budget in that quarter. So I'm going to go down here on my screen, and I'm going to look at 2018 Q1. And now we'll see that I was about 14.5% above budget. You can see what that difference was in dollars. And here on the screen, what I'm seeing is each main category of my economy is represented by a bubble with a color for that category. So this happens to be retail trade. And any bubbles that are up and to the right were both large dollar amounts and large percentage changes. And any bubbles that are down and to the left are low percentage changes and low dollars. So I've actually got about 4 here that are clustered together that had non-trivial dollar changes. This, for example, percent changes. This is 90% with a revenue of $72,000 in information revenue. So primarily what is driving that being above budget is probably some unanticipated growth in these areas. All right. Now, I've looked at how did I do this quarter? How am I doing sort of compared to the statewide economy? How am I doing compared to budget, which is pretty well? Now I may want, from time to time, to get in and look at specific taxpayers. How is taxpayer X doing? So we'll go into taxpayer search here, and you can search using economic or cash, meaning whether it's for the audit return period or the allocation period, for example. And we'll go ahead and choose economic. and bring this up. And this will allow us to search for each individual taxpayer. I'll show you just a few of the features here. I'm going to search for businesses where the address has the word mountain in it. As you can see, I've got 2 hits in my sample city. I can either select each one individually or click on the search results, all search results. Once I get the all search results back, you can see I've got both businesses here. I can click, down below. What you're seeing is the 3-year payment history for the combined set that was returned by your search. And if you want to see the individual businesses within that set, click on their name. You get their individual business history with their address here above. And I think with that, I will go ahead and pass it back to Doug Jensen.
Fantastic, Eric. Thank you very much. That's really great information, easy to use. For the audience, I wish you all the success in getting businesses such as Acme 02412. It would really help your sales tax base. So to me, the next portion, the GIS mapping and forecasting, are some of the most exciting parts of our new program. Being able to draw a polygon around a business improvement district or an area adjacent to an area of your town that's undergoing expansion or revitalization makes it very easy to pull the sales tax performance, the sales tax benefits out of the investments that's being made in your community. One of our clients built a downtown professional basketball arena, and obviously a huge investment by both the city and private developers. And they're seeing incredible positive growth, not just around the stadium, but it's exploding out from the stadium and reinvigorating formerly blighted areas. And so this client in particular is very interested in using Clearview to be able to draw polygons around and adjacent to the stadium to really track the sales tax benefit of that investment. Another client has a booming downtown as a result of adding several high density residential. And as you know, residential is not the greatest revenue generator for local governments, but this converted a once sleepy downtown into this very vibrant, highly sought after area to live. And with bringing in those people, it's really brought in a lot of restaurants and retail and a theater, and it's just a really great downtown. And being able to see that graphically and being able to pull that information easily using GIS to show your managers and your council, your elected, and your community the benefit of that investment and the benefit of bringing something into an area. Our forecasting module, as many of you know, we've been providing a fairly accurate forecast for many years using a model that relies on the actual business performance. So it's a kind of a bottoms up. And it allows us to really use each community's economic base to develop our forecast. With this new module inside of Clearview, it actually adds econometric modeling and statistical sampling into the process, which is going to make it even more accurate. So it'll take into account adjusting for new businesses, closed businesses, one-time anomalies, and then be able to provide a statistical modeling on an accurate adjusted sales tax economic base. So it's an incredibly exciting couple things to take a look at. So with that, I'd like Eric to kind of give us an overview of the GIS platform as well as the forecasting platform.
Thanks, Doug. So we'll go ahead and we're coming back here to our navigation page. Here we have our GeoMaps option. Doug just spoke about that, so we'll go ahead and get that loaded up. That'll take just a second here to load. The first map that we're going to see is a map that is a heat map showing sort of just the overall pattern of sales tax revenue concentration within our sample city. So that'll take, like I said, just a second for the map to populate live here. Great, here we go. So we can see, for example, in this example, and yes, this is a real city, but the numbers are not real. And this is, you can see the pattern of concentration here along the downtown in this area, and then also towards several other little areas in the town. So for example, Doug just mentioned an area where there was high density residential that was brought in. And for example, you may want to be tracking whether that has had the impact you hoped over time in your sales tax revenue. And you can look at that very quickly, get a feel for how your revenue is spread throughout the geography of your city. We'll then go here to more of an individual business by business look. Again, same sample city area. You can see that each individual business that's reporting is reported here. You can hover over it. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in by clicking on this little tool called Zoom to Bounds. Let's drag and drop, and maybe even a little bit closer. And take a look sort of at this downtown area. Now, we've already seen kind of the revenue concentration, but perhaps you want to focus on one specific part of your downtown area, and that tool is available to you here as well. We'll click on the little circle here, which is our selections tool, and then select the polygon. And let's say that I want to pick up this business and these businesses together. I'll double click to close that polygon. And now you can see below that I've got 7 items, and those are summarized at the category level, the segment level, and then the taxpayer detail as well. These reports can be exported to Excel here. Just hover over the right-hand side, click to export. There you've got your summary of how the businesses in this area are doing. And so you can subset your city for further study, particularly when you're looking at the impact of policies or economic development, as Doug mentioned. Now, finally, I'm going to show you our forecasting tool. This tool, as Doug mentioned, allows us to use some statistical and econometric models to kind of find what we think is the best fit model given the data. In this particular example, I've used 5 years past history, and we've forecasted out a number of years as well, about 5. And you can see here in the red, I have my actuals. So this is my past history. In the blue, I have the forecast mean. Here, the gray lines are respectively from inside to outside. They are the 85% confidence band and the 95% confidence band. Okay? And we can adjust this model as well. So we'll go up here to adjustments. And let's say that I think in 2020, some of the policy changes that our council has made are going to hit, and I think that they're going to have an impact for the next few years thereafter. So I adjust this slider to the time period that I want to forecast as impacted. And just for the sake of easy visual recognition, I'm going to pretend that those changes are going to make a huge amount of difference in a number of these areas. So I use the slider, I make my adjustments, I can hit apply. It'll recycle back through and give you an adjusted forecast, and you can see what happens here to the forecast in the future. In addition, you've now got a visual of that forecast with that particular adjustment. Take a screenshot, for example, and below it tells you what adjustments were made. So I think with that, I'll pass it back to Doug.
Thank you, Eric. Very exciting stuff. And I'm a sales tax geek. People that know me know that. Not quite a nerd, but definitely a geek, and this stuff gets me really excited. Hopefully you guys are excited as well. You know, in our brief overview, you saw some of what Clearview can provide. If you want to see more and spend some more time taking a closer look at it, we're happy to do so. And Brennan's going to give you an offer at the end of our session here today. There's so much more knowledge that comes with having that interactive data that you'll be able to not only track and forecast, but communicate the most important points to your stakeholders. Clearview converts raw data into a story of your community, where you've been, where you're going, and where you can focus to help grow your community even more. Finally, and most important to me and many of our clients, is we back this product up with tenured tax professionals. We're always available to answer questions, assist with ad hoc reports, prepare forecasts, and provide the great service that you've come to expect from us. So turning your data into a visual story and sharing it, access to high-level, summary-level, city manager dashboard type of information, all the way down into the very detailed information of how your sales tax is performing. And then, of course, answering questions about revenue, in particular, when your cash receipts come in. That's a very frantic time to many, especially if there's a downturn. I know everybody's talking about when the next recession is going to hit, playing around with that forecast and being able to adjust things. We know that brick and mortar retail is having some issues. When you have a Sears in your town and it's going to close, you can go right into your forecast and back that number right out of your retail, and really keep your forecast a living document through this platform. So we are here to support with expert analysts, and thank you so much for your time, and I'd like to turn it back over to Brennan.
Thanks, Doug. And Eric, thank you for those demonstrations. That was extremely powerful, and hopefully it provided some value to those on the line today. So next, we'll jump into our question and answer period, and we'd love to field some of the questions that are coming in through the chat currently and through the email submission webinars at Avenu Insights. You can submit those up until now and even past the point in which we wrap up the presentation today. You can submit those, and we'll make sure that every single one of them gets answered regardless of our timing today. But Eric, pretty straightforward here. The first one that came in, it just says, how accurate is your forecasting? So it kind of tees us up from where you left off.
Sure. Our forecasting is, on average, about 5 to 10% accuracy within the model. So we use the mean average percent error to actually determine which of 4 or 5 different models is the most accurate based on the historical data, and then we promulgate that one. This particular model is about 7% error rate. So give or take 5 or 10% usually. The bigger the city, the more accurate we can be, because any individual change doesn't move the needle that much.
Awesome. Okay. Next one says, Doug, this one may be for you. It says, how will changes in the CDTFA that you referenced earlier, change Clearview's information?
Yeah, we're advising our clients right now that the changes going on at CDTFA are creating a lot of short-term headaches and missing revenue, and kind of some unknown missing revenues at that. Once everything gets put into place, we will be able to get the data at least a month sooner, and they'll also be providing the sales tax payment at the address location level. Historically, the State Board of Equalization would take the total sales tax from, let's say, for example, McDonald's, and you have 5 McDonald's in your town. You'd only get one number for all 5. They're going to provide the specific 5 locations, actual dollars. It'll make the geocodes more accurate and the ability to track actual performance. Many local governments have sharing agreements, and this will make that more accurate as well.
Great. Thanks, Doug. So next one, Eric, this is a two-part question because they're very similar, so I'll ask 2 in 1 here. It says, I've seen some reports that are based on calendar year that you showed today, but our fiscal year starts in July. Is Clearview configurable for fiscal year versus calendar year? And then second part, can the information be viewed monthly instead of quarterly?
So yeah, let's take that in order then. The first current year, calendar year versus fiscal year. Yes, it is configurable for that. In particular, just using the sliders, you can adjust what you're seeing so that it's shifted to a fiscal year view. So those time sliders that we showed a little bit of today. Secondly, can the data be shown monthly instead of quarterly? It can. Some of the items that we didn't get to today are in fact monthly reports, and those are already structured to be monthly. But even the economic overview can be quickly adapted to make it monthly.
Fantastic. Okay, and in short order here, how do we obtain login info for this site? I'll take that one just very briefly. I'm going to respond on the next slide, in fact, actually. But we'll be providing kind of a free 30-day trial to the sample city data that you saw today. Your own unique login information. You'll have access to it. You'll have access to the training that's involved with accessing the reports to give you kind of a hands-on live environment to be able to access how the product works and how to move between reports and the value that it can provide to you and your team to share with your team over that time period. So you can contact us. We'll be reaching out after the webinar today for those that attended and registered. We'll be reaching back out to provide those credentials. So keep in mind that you'll be receiving an email and potentially a phone call to the information that you provided to access to give you guys their login credentials for that free 30-day trial. Next up, Eric, it says, how often is Clearview updated?
Every month. So we get data for both Texas and California on a monthly basis, and we update it monthly. There are some, in California, as Doug has mentioned, we're still working with the CDTFA so that they get the accurate data into us, but barring that, our regular production schedule is every month that we update the data.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we are bumping up against our time here as we wrap it up. For the questions that we didn't get to today, we will follow up with you individually and directly and provide a transcription of all of the questions that were asked today, just to be available for everyone that was in attendance today. But as we move into to wrap up the presentation, I did want to reiterate the fact that we are offering a free 30-day trial for all those that registered and or attended the webinar today. We'll be following up with you directly after the presentation. You can send any inquiries to webinars@avenuinsights.com, and we will proceed with facilitating those credentials as soon as possible. And if interested, you can give us a call directly at 571-323-1253, and we'd be happy to set up a personalized, customized demo of the program and provide those credentials for you to share amongst your team. So with that, we appreciate your attendance and attentiveness today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Thanks, Brennan.